Rubber was written and directed by Quentin Duplex. It was about a tire that for no particular reason comes to life and can make people's heads explode. Duplex attempts to explain this gaping plot hole with a sheriff portrayed by Steven Spielberg who continuously breaks the fourth wall while there is a group of spectators watching the tire from a safe distance in the abandoned part of a desert with binoculars. Now, I personally don't watch a lot of movies, and I most certainly have never been one to analyze them in a way an active viewer could. As hard as I tried to watch Rubber implicitly and find the meaning, it wasn't until I read the section in the book, Ways of Looking at Movies, that I found a purpose in this film. This section states, every movie is a complex synthesis, a combination of many separate, interrelated elements that form a coherent whole. The movie Rubber isn't about some Frankenstein homicidal tire. It's about how every movie in Hollywood is the same and how audience receive it is the same every time. Duplex admits a lot of the inspiration from this movie originated with Steven Spielberg's Duel, a movie about an average Joe type who's harassed on the road by a dangerous truck driver and has to step up his driving game. Nemiroff stated about this film that it's incredible because it managed to create fear with nothing. It's just a truck. It doesn't do anything special, but the truck is dirty, it's old, but it's just a truck. If you haven't ever seen Duel, this quote makes it easier to understand where Duplex got his inspiration to use an inanimate object, such as a tire or bicycle, to be the main character to strike fear into the audience of Rubber. While Rubber does focus more on the bad guy's point of view, which isn't the usual approach of a filmmaker, who typically highlight and idolize the hero's life and struggles, it's similar to the movie Suicide Squad in that way, showing that bad guys can be sad and go through existential crises as well. These movies show a filmmaker can make anyone feel bad for a character, no matter how evil they are, if they just show a little backstory. Robert the Tire might have not had flashbacks to get sympathy and camaraderie like they did for Harley Quinn, but in moments where he's thrown out of the hotel while he's showering or when he shows interest in a girl, it creates this relatable experience, so it's harder for the audience to root against him. Duplex commented on the task of bringing Robert to life. He said, the challenge was to make it alive. At one point, you even believe it has a conscience. Like when it's in front of the mirror, you realize, okay, this thing has a consciousness. He is able to remember stuff, and everything is possible because there's a lot of emptiness around it. He starts off with no purpose doing whatever he wants, like making rabbits explode in the desert. But when a romantic interest is introduced and eventually he struggles with his sense of self and existence, then he sees something that motivates him to take action, like the tire burning in the desert. And finally, some type of final conclusive action scene, not to mention the ever-anticipated bonus scene sometimes after the credits, alluding to a sequel. This movie could have been played by, or had anyone play Robert, a human, a dog, a rolling desk chair, anything. Duplex even proved this to us with the final scene with Robert being reincarnated into a tricycle. He also told us that this is not the only movie, he's not the only one to make a movie this unoriginal, and went so far as to show us in the final scene that Rubber will not be the last movie following the checklist I've stated before. Multiple tires rolling into Hollywood and was a symbol of more and more movies will be made just like this one with slightly different plots, but every time will be portrayed by the same predictable character.